What all these tools are providing are new ways to increase the reliability of already reliable automation systems. We're trying to get to 99.9999, increasing those last nines of reliability to make sure that we can have full walk-away time with these systems, that you don't need to worry about having to babysit your automation platform, and that you're going to be able to have the most efficient workflow that you can with our systems.
Part of the reason that we are showing off our FlexPod and Perception, our FlexPod is our manually movable base.
With a robot that you can use to roll around your lab, mount it securely in different places, and then do automation with any kind of table or instrument that you might have as part of your workflow.
It's super easy to integrate with just a couple devices around your lab or lab space. We are showing it here with our robotic arm with vision, which allows you to do auto teaching to update your teach points dynamically throughout your protocol or at the beginning to ensure no drifting or crashes.
So what we have here is the Perception suite of tools that we're introducing to our robotic systems. We're trying to do whatever we can with machine vision cameras to detect the environment around the robotic systems that we're working with and proactively detect errors, and even in many cases recover from them automatically. So on the screen here, we have some examples of the detection tools that we have available to us. First one is a Labware classifier. And so what that does is on the screen here, when we put a plate under this camera, we have a machine learning model trained that will tell us that the plate is present, that we have the manufacturer and type of the plate, and in this case also the fact that we have an invalid seal on the plate. I can see that if we swap in a good plate here, we'll see that the status will update and tell us that the seal is in fact valid. This is a pretty sensitive tool in terms of the kinds of characteristics you can pick up. So here I have a transparent plate and a transparent lid. We're going to put this under the camera, and we can see that this correctly picks up the fact that this Grenier Cellstar plate is lidded. When I remove the lid, even though there's a pretty minor visual difference in the image, we are able to pick up the fact that this is now an unlidded plate. So in this case, we have a small axis camera embedded right in the stacker here. You'll see that the form factor is very small compared to the larger pan-tilt zoom camera that we had on the other side. And the way this is set up is that we are monitoring this slot to see whether a plate is incoming. When a plate comes in, we check whether it's lidded or unlidded, and we then adjust our protocol based on whether we see a lid or not to skip lid replacement steps. So I'm going to put in a plate with the lid on.
Start condition for order detected.
We have a voice announcement.
Detection.
So it checks once, does a sanity check, double check to make sure that the plate is still in place, and then begins the process. And you're going to see now, because there's a lid in place, it's going to remove the lid and then proceed through the rest of the process. And down here, we're also using the front-facing camera in the robot, and that is allowing us to do detection without mounting external cameras as well. So this is making sure that the nest on the precise drop dispenser is clear to place a plate. We're putting the plate in and beginning dispensing. So what we're going to do on the second run through here is that I'm going to put an unlidded plate into that same slot. I'm also going to put an obstacle plate into the PD2 dispenser. We're going to see that we're going to be able to detect it and then move it to a safe quarantine location and then continue with the original plate that we intended. So I'm putting in the obstacle plate right here. I'm putting this in to start the process. So it's going through, it's skipping over the lid step that it did previously because it sees that there's no lid. It's going down to check whether there's a plate present in the PD2 dispenser. We're going to see that it does a couple extra checks when it sees that it thinks there's an obstacle. Now what it's doing is taking the plate that it started with, putting it back safely in the original location, retrieving the obstacle plate, putting that in a safe quarantine location so that we can inspect it later, and continuing with the rest of the protocol with the original plate.
And it's important that we double check the delidding step, not only for the dispensing part of the protocol, but then as that plate makes its way into the reader, that lid would cause a potential issue as well. The devices we're showcasing here with the FlexPod today are typical of a reader feeder setup, which is a super great use case for the FlexPod. We put it against the Lyconic, the PD2, and the Synergy reader. So it's pulling plates from storage, dispensing, and throwing it in for a read and can put it back. This is super useful. So the FlexPod can take over what an operator would normally have to come in the lab to move those plates between the devices. And due to the mobile base on the FlexPod is super useful to deploy and redeploy around your lab as a flexible automation platform.
So another tool that we have in the perception suite is this anomaly detector. With this, you don't need to specifically have known classes like lidded, unlidded, or bad seal, good seal. You can just have a bunch of photos of an expected baseline that you want to have for your particular state. So in this case, I have a plate in place right between the chamfers placed properly. And what we're going to see is that if I tilt this plate, we can detect on the screen that an anomaly has occurred. We also can even see the direction in which the plate moved. So that's going to give us some extra information that we can use to do auto recoveries in the future. We also have classification on a well basis. So if I put in this plate, we'll see that the system can correctly count that there are 96 wells in the plate as expected. If I put in a partial plate where there's missing wells, we'll see that we show a grid of what wells are present, which ones are absent. That's data that can be exported to a CSV and operated on in any software workflow that you'd want to use.
If you're interested in seeing the FlexPod with Perception workstation,
If you'd like to see a demo of the robotic perception features,
book a demo with us on our website and a product specialist will reach out to you.